What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Undiagnosed Baddie, my daily 10-minute podcast. And I started this podcast on January 1st, 2026. Now, it has taken like its life of its own, and I am going to start doing, like I said, a particular topic and then go from there. It's helping me stay a little structured, a lot structured, and less burnt out. How about that? All right. So today's topic is dating while pregnant. I was on Threads and I saw a topic and they were like, "Well, what do you think about women dating while they're pregnant?" 99%, 99 probably 0.7% of the people in the comments were like, "You need to go work on you and your baby," right? So, in my opinion, as someone who was single throughout my pregnancy, um baby, niggas is crazy. Niggas is wild. I simply just said, and I said, date, date. Because what's stopping that man from dating? And I know you're gonna say, "Oh, that's two different things. She's carrying a baby. He's not carrying a baby, but he's still going through the symptoms. If you think that men don't go through the symptoms that their woman is going through, you're crazy, and it's been scientifically proven. Number one. Number two, I don't want you to sit here and say we did not discuss, but I know it's going to be brought up, the fact that, oh, what if she's having sex and people go, that's another man's baby. If that man cared, he'd be there. I'm going to sing it again. If that man cared, he'd be there. So why can't she get a little shame? Why is she pregnant? Because that's somebody else's baby. She's doing what she feels that she needs to do as a woman and carry her baby full term. Nothing is from stopping that woman. There's men that's been on the internet that said, "I met her when she was 6 months pregnant. That baby mine. That baby ain't biologically mine, but that baby mine," right? And I shout out to all the men who date pregnant women. Shout out to all the men that cater to, love on, all right? And do or show up. Sometimes you just have to be that emotional support human during that time. Sometimes it lasts, sometimes it doesn't. But with that being said, right, that doesn't mean that a woman it's like y'all are, people were putting like a scarlet S on her, like, "Stay away, the devil," right? Like, girl, if you don't go out and date, I hate that society doesn't take care of their women and their pregnant women better, really. um there was once, I saw something that once said, I don't know if it was a TikTok, a tweet, or whatever, and it was like, y'all notice we don't see a lot of Chinese, Asian, Thai, pregnant women in the wild. And it was some Asians that came into the thread that, came in and said, because we are in our culture, we are treated with high regard because we are carrying the next generation. We are treated better while we're pregnant than we are any other time in our lives, simply because we're pregnant. And whew, the cultural differences of being, and I'm not talking black white here, I'm talking countries, the cultural differences of being an American versus, right, like an Asian in that aspect, since that's what I brought up. It makes me so sad for the American women because we barely get 6 weeks off, right? They're like, "Oh, well, once it's patched up, go back to work." And it's like, damn, who's supposed to take care and nurture? Women are not supposed to be dropping their babies off at 6 weeks to daycare. We're not. We are not supposed to be doing. We're still producing milk. And I know we could produce milk for as long as we want to, but that baby should not, absolutely should not be getting dropped off to anybody. It needs to be in its own home with its mother, and that's what I have to say about that. Now, I want to kind of segue into me being on the Pit Stop podcast. Shout out to the Pit Stop. Um a crazy bunch of gentlemen, very nice gentlemen, and I love to put their business out there because they do, in a way to say gentlemen at all different stages of their life, right? So we have a divorced man, we have a man that is in the process of getting married, and we have one, I think he's newly, well, we have one with a girlfriend. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Are y'all here? Are y'all supporting me? But no, one with a girlfriend, one with fiance, one divorced, all gentlemen, right? As far as I'm concerned, I've been on there 3 times, so y'all know they good in the hood with me. But the question was, getting to the point, what would you do, right, if you were married to a man and you're a teenager? Doesn't matter. We could say 13 to 17, as long as they're a minor, right? It came out that your teenager wasn't your husband, specifically husband. This was the question. Your husband's baby. Do you expect him to stay? So I knew my answer immediately. So I let the other woman on the podcast go, and she was like, "Well, that's just something I gotta eat." You know what I'm saying? She was like, "I hope he would. You built the bond, with this child, and you hope so. But if not, that's just something you gotta eat." So they get to me, and I say, "Do you all want me to be honest?" And duh, yeah, be honest, be honest. So I don't know if y'all want me to be honest, but let's be honest. We wouldn't have got to that point. That's what are you talking about? I said chop style. We gonna chop, because one thing you are not supposed to do is ever question or ever have to question who the child. I'm sorry, who. Well, you can say who the child belongs to, but who is the father of your child? That's just not something that a smart woman does in this day and age, where we have the option of plan Bs, female condoms, male condoms, all of the birth controls that are provided to us, and abortion. I live in a blue state, so we can still have abortions in Maryland. There's no way that if I didn't know the baby's father, that I would ever continue a pregnancy and it wasn't my husband's, right? There was a gentleman on there, and he was like, "Now this is the one. He don't have kids." And he was like, "Hell no, I'm leaving." And so, the gentleman that's divorced, he was like, "Really? Like, after you put in 13, 14, 15 years?" So he like, "Yeah, that ain't my kid, da 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 da." And as a mom, as an auntie, as a I don't want to be like, "Oh, I'm an empath." Nah, man, you don't treat kids like that. I can even go a step further and a little bit more personal and say, as a woman who was raised in a step family, you don't treat kids like that. That's not something that you do. You know, what makes your anger therein lies, your anger therein lies with the woman. Your anger is not with the child, right? What do you do in a situation like that, right? Are you really angry at the child, or are you angry at the mother, or were you looking for a way out of a situation anyway? You've already invested and loved on and looked at this child that it was yours. So what does the child have to do with the situation, because it's innocent? Children are always 100% innocent in any dealings with adults. Period, point blank. You don't ever blame the child. You don't ever mistreat a child. You don't ever discard a child because of shit that's going on between adults. That's just something that you don't fucking do. I have beef with my cousin. I have beef with friends. Beefed. And we don't stop the communication between our kids, because that ain't got nothing to do, that village love don't have nothing to do with adult beef. And I need more men to understand that. And I think that's a new first a new first date question, because you get the understanding of what's going on in a man's mind and his character. Hate her, but don't do that baby dirty. You're not even gonna pay for therapy after you leave, because that's what's gonna cause. They can be like, "Dad, this was my dad for 15 years, and then he hates my mom, so he hates me." That's wild. Don't get beat up. Stay safe.